people, and welcome back to In the End Zone UK. This is podcast number 11. In this one, we'll be looking back on a jam-packed Week 10 in the NFL, and I'll be telling you all about my trip to the home of the Jets and to the home of the Giants at MetLife Stadium in New York City. But before we get into speaking about that and talking about the Giants, let me introduce their number one fan, the second half of the In the End Zone team. Across the screen from me, as usual, it's Big Dave. How's it going, Dave?
Yeah, all good. Good to go.
Nice.
If notifications stop popping up on my laptop, it'll be even better.
Yeah, get rid of them. I'm sorry that I couldn't take you to New York with me last week, Dave, but you'd have had the time of your life. Well, maybe not the time of your life. It was the Jets, not the Giants. So
yeah, I'd rather spoon my eyes out than watch the Jets.
Yeah, it was a good time though. It was a good time. And when you eventually get the opportunity to get to MetLife, it is a hell of a stadium. Definitely worth a visit.
Rank it.
How
many been to? 3?
I've been to,
including, no, what's that, 4 or 5?
I've been to the
Wembley.
Coliseum in LA. I've been to the Lumen Field, or what was CenturyLink in Seattle. Been to the Falcons. Obviously been and watched the games in Wembley and Tottenham. Have I been to any more? Not too sure. But I would put MetLife. I'd put MetLife third. So Falcon Stadium is probably the best stadium I've been to. Seahawks Stadium was amazing because of, obviously I'm a Seahawks fan, but it was, the atmosphere is unreal. But then the atmosphere at MetLife was amazing. Really, really cool. And I had a walk around the whole thing. The view from every seat is spectacular. Like it's a really, really well built stadium. And the atmosphere was fantastic because they had a DJ on, they were playing Drake, dropping hip hop tracks everywhere. It was pretty cool. It was really, really decent. So, to get to see an actual competitive game would be phenomenal. So we'll definitely get out there as an In the End Zone team, Dave. 100%, either this year or next year. If we make the playoffs, Giants make the playoffs, we're going.
Giants make the playoffs. Fucking hell, I'll do the lottery as well.
You better do, because it'll probably be expensive. But it's a stadium. It is a hell of a stadium to visit. So this week's podcast is called The Home of the Brave. There's obviously one part of In the End Zone. We're live in the USA this week at MetLife Stadium. And I was covering, let's call it covering, the Buffalo Bills taking on the New York Jets. In the spirit of the Home of the Brave, later on in the podcast, me and Dave will also be giving 3 brave predictions later on. So brave predictions into the NFL with the remainder of the season left. So listen out for those as well. Before we get to a little bit of news, I've got to gloat in the glory that was the NFL fan combine. So Dave, whilst I was at the Jet Stadium in New York, once you walked in, they had a combine set up, just a little bit like the NFL draft, or what the players have to go through before they go in the draft. And I had to compete in I didn't have to. I chose to compete in a fan 20-yard dash, vertical leap, and broad jump. And I made top 5 in all events.
That is impressive. When I know your sporting prowess background, that's I was massively impressed when you told me that.
I was, I mean, I can't.
You struggle
I can't
walking
speak.
most of the time, so running 40 yards is impressive.
Yeah, so I did all right. I did all right. I can't speak for, the caliber of the other contenders, but there was a lot of people doing it. I think I came third in the dash, behind some guys that were pretty quick. But my dash, I actually did side by side. So there was 2 lanes, and Cameron Robertson, full name in here, is one of the people that we work with, and obviously a good friend of ours. He also decided to get involved in the dash, Dave.
Did you finish?
I have to tell you, he didn't finish. He clattered. He fell on the floor and clattered into the crash mats that were at the end of the the end of the 40 dash. It was one of the funniest things I have seen for a very long time. But he did all right on the vertical jump, I suppose, considering he's only little. But I made it top 3 in or top 5 in all events, specifically the 40 dash. And I was wearing a big coat and everything. They were pretty surprised. They came over and they said, "Hey, do you fancy jumping in for the Jets?" I said, "You know what, guys? I want to give everyone else a chance. I'm not going to do it this week."
You could probably start at the Jets at running back, to be fair.
I probably could. You know what? After watching the performance that they played, it was absolutely dismal from the Jets. Absolutely dismal. But the Bills looked amazing. So if they'd have asked me to lace up at half time, I'd have thought about it. Cam could have been a punter.
Cam could have been like the pylon in the end zone, just sitting there with an orange cap on. Or the sock, like the flag at the top of the...
If I'm going full disclosure on this one, he's going to hate me for telling you this, but after the dash, he clearly hadn't warmed up and he definitely pulled a quad.
Did he have to go to the blue medical tent?
If there had been one, he'd have been in the medical tent, but what actually ensued was him just limping around the stadium for the rest of the day. Which was pretty savage. But anyway, go on, Cam. Well done.
Yeah, at least he was there. Trying it out.
That's it. Trying it out. Losing to Fat Man John over here. So that's what happens. Anyway, away from that, and I'll talk about the game a little bit later because we're going to look at that when we get on the clock. First little bits of news to drop in here, Dave. First one is Odell Beckham. So last week when we were catching up and I was in Atlanta, we spoke about where he could potentially land and where he may land. And you have said for a number of weeks now that he might end up at the Rams. And do you know what? That's where he went.
Yeah.
Dave knows all.
I am a knowledgeable guy.
Indeed. So what do you reckon to that one then? Obviously, the first week doesn't look like it paid dividends as the Rams lost this week. But do you think it's going to be a long-time game for them?
I don't know if he's going to be there till... He's obviously going to be there till the end of the season and they're definitely making the playoffs. But I'll say they're definitely making the playoffs. It's only halfway through the season, but it looks like they're making the playoffs. And he's going to be an addition to them because Robert Woods, I think, tore his ACL, didn't he, in training? So he stepped in. I mean, he'd only been there, 3 days before they played? Mm-hmm. So once he gets in there, I mean, Odell's still a top receiver, isn't he? Him and Cooper Kupp should be able to make that work quite well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with Matt Stafford at him as well, he probably feels a slightly bit better about having Matt Stafford than he would have had about Baker Mayfield.
I mean, you wouldn't have thought it watching the game, but Matt Stafford had a stinker.
Yeah, he did.
Stunk it up.
But like you said, only 3 days in the actual facility for Odell. I personally think that give him a couple more weeks, let him build a little bit of chemistry with Matt Stafford. If anybody's going to throw balls at you, Matt Stafford's one of the best. So it only makes the Rams a little bit more dangerous. But they didn't really look like it against the Niners. But the Niners are sneaky good on defense, right? I mean, they even held the Cardinals to a low scoring game. I think on their day, the Niners can switch it on. So Odell's landed at the Rams, and that doesn't make things very, very nice for the rest of the NFC West, specifically the Seahawks. Next bit of news, Cam Newton. So Cam Newton made his debut back at his original team. So back at the Carolina Panthers, and he had 2 possessions which resulted in 2 touchdowns, 1 throwing and 1 a rushing touchdown for him. And it looks like breaking news. It looks like breaking news is that he's going to be starting this week as well as their number 1 quarterback. So what do you make of that one?
It was good. Like as soon as he come in, you knew what he was. You knew the play was going to be a QB run. But it weren't an easy run, He handed off one of the defenders, the linebackers that was trying to tackle him, and got into the end zone. And got flagged for his excessive celebration because the NFL was getting a bit soft with that. But it was good. And then the exact same play, pretty much, rolled out to the right there and just looked like he was going to run, then just dumped it off into the end zone to his receiver. But no, it was good.
Nice. It was
nice to see, and I'm looking forward to watching him start this week.
I like Cam
Newton.
I was going to say I'm in a very similar boat here. I didn't used to like him because he used to always be sort of the Seahawks competitor. We often played them in the playoffs and we won most of them, but we did lose a couple as well. But I'm excited to see him actually. I think it's good for him to get back there. Should have probably never let him go, to be honest. In the resulting sort of outcomes of quarterbacks, they've only had Teddy Bridgewater and Sam Darnold since that have done anything, and I think it's the right place for him to be. And I think he looked. I don't know if you noticed, but do you think he looks a bit leaner? Just he looks a bit in a bit better shape. What do you reckon?
He looks happy.
Yeah, true.
So I don't know if that's him. He's in good mental space, so he's back where he belongs. But I'll tell you what, the receivers look happy as well.
They really do. I suppose you would be as well after you've had Sam Darnold thrown at you.
Yeah.
So yeah, welcome back to Cam, Super Cam. I hope he does bits this week actually. And then last bit of breaking news. Probably not one that's going to make a massive impact on the season, considering their season is not looking great anyway. But Khalil Mack has just been ruled out for the rest of the season with an injury to his foot. So the Bears lose their best defensive piece in a division where they were struggling anyway.
Yeah, which is good news for us because we got the draft pick, their first round draft pick. So the shitter they are, the happier I will be.
Oh, of course, yeah. So the Giants have got the draft pick from the Bears. How did you acquire that one? Was that in a trade or was that in a player?
We traded back with them so they could pick up Justin Fields.
Ah, okay. All right. So you've got their first round pick this year. So the worse the Bears do, the higher the pick the Giants have, which means you can bolster your team. All right. Fair enough.
I think at the minute we're picking like either 8 and 9 or 9 and 10.
Wow.
Because we're equally as shit as them. So.
Okay. Well, let's hope that the Giants do a little bit better, but that's promising for next year though, right? Imagine having back-to-back picks in the top 10 of the draft. That's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah. As long as you pick the right people.
Exactly. Yeah. If you're the Seahawks, then you definitely don't. So Khalil Mack's out for the season. So long farewell to that man. And, that takes us on to our first segment, returning as always. Get ready, get steady to slap or sign. Now, Dave, talk me through it. I want to hear from you. Firstly, let's start positive. Let's go with who from the NFC, from the National Football Championship, you are going to sign.
Excuse me, I just burped. I am going to sign a man who would also burp because he looks a little bit of a hillbilly. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Please don't say Aaron Rodgers because if so, I'm quitting.
No, he looks like a tramp. George Kittle is back.
Okay, nice.
And dominating linebackers at blocking. Like, have you seen the one on Von Miller?
I've seen the replay. He absolutely puts Von Miller in his pocket. Yeah.
Yeah, proper flat packs him. like he's posting a card, sealing that envelope. Flat packed him. But he's great, isn't he, George Kittle? He's
very good.
He's got to be one of the best blocking. Between him and Gronk, surely is the best blocking tight ends that can do other stuff. Do you know what I mean? Not just a blocker, but.
No, absolutely. I actually don't really like George Kittle as a person, like his demeanour, but I would consider him I'd probably put him in top 2. He's definitely top 3 tight ends in the league. But that video of him blocking Von Miller, if you're out there, you've not seen it, YouTube it really quickly. Von Miller is one of the most dominant defensive linemen in the NFL, and George Kittle pancakes him. But yeah, he had a good game anyway, right?
Yeah, I think he's had a couple now, isn't he? That was like his second game back?
Yeah, it looks good.
So yeah, no, it's good that he's back. It gives the San Francisco 49ers another weapon on offense. And wow, they put it to use by sending the Rams home with a tail between their legs.
Yeah,
which is good to see. Keeps it more balanced. Although it's not good for you, or is it?
I don't really care at this point, with the Seahawks, but yeah, and it's one of those things. It's potentially good for us because it kind of rebalances everything as opposed to the Rams taking it all. But yeah, it's a really good pick, and I think as a Giants fan, imagine having George Kittle on the outside blocking for Saquon
Oh
when he
yeah.
comes back.
No, I think that's the reason I took him. I mean, the other picks aren't anything to do with the Giants, but what we would need is a tight end. I mean, we've got Rudolph, Kyle Rudolph, who's a good blocker, and we've got Evan Ingram, who's like a freak athlete when he's healthy and he can catch a ball. But having someone like George Kittle on your team would be an immense for any team.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Okay, so George Kittle from the NFC, you are signing him. And on the flip side, from the NFC, who are you going to give a big slap?
I'm going to slap Jalen Hurts because I just do not like. I don't like the Eagles. I don't like anybody in our division apart from the Giants. And Jalen Hurts, he's just such a frustrating. They're winning, which is annoying me as well. But what an annoying little cretin. He had 13 rush attempts for like 50 yards in the game this week. I just don't like him. I don't think he's very good. I think he gets bailed out. He's just, I don't know. I hate him. He annoys. The reason I'm slapping him, for people listening, is I don't like to watch him. And if I'm forced to watch his highlights on the red zone, I don't know. I'm back to spooning my eyes out. I just don't want to see it.
No, I feel you with Jalen Hurts. And I've obviously got less disdain for the Eagles because they're not in my division, but I really don't like Jalen Hurts either. And the reason being is because he isn't a good football player, period, but they are winning. And that makes it even more frustrating because I think they're winning. They're winning because, well, I don't want to say it's well coached, but they're obviously I think they are well coached actually. And I think that the play calls are certainly helping him. He's able to run around like a headless chicken, gain the 3 to 6 yards that he needs on every play. Like you say, he's not breaking for any big yardage. He's not a scrambling running back like Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray. He kind of just gets exactly what they need just to scrape past, which then opens up the running game. And they are running it pretty well, actually. With a healthy O-line, the Eagles' offensive line is actually pretty good. So I think that's carrying them a certain distance, and then their defense seems to be stepping up. But they've played some shitters as well. Like their schedule gets a bit harder as the year goes on. So I can see them wins dropping off. But we spoke about it before. Jalen Hurts, he does not look like an NFL quarterback, and he will get found out very soon. He's not the answer in Philadelphia. Not a chance.
Nah, he's like a slightly richer man's. Who's the gimp at the Packers? Have got Love.
Jordan Love.
Jordan, yeah, he's like a slightly better version of him, but he's Nah, and you're right. I think the offensive line massively helps them, but they're all getting old. Like their offensive line, the Cowboys' offensive line, it's full of old goats, but they're all pretty good.
Yeah.
Like Lane Johnson, Kelsey's there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Just frustrating, but I mean,
Indeed.
we play them pretty much back-to-back weeks. I think.
Yeah.
I think we have a play them in back-to-back games, or it's like a game against the Eagles, then we miss a game, then it's them.
Right.
Again.
I mean, they're going to be quite important games by the looks of things with the.
Oh yeah, there will be definitely seeding wise for the division as well. But
so let's hope you slap the Eagles up.
Yeah.
Okay, and then moving forward onto the AFC. So from the AFC, Dave, who are you going to sign?
I'm signing Mac Jones.
Ooh, statement sign.
Yeah, he's so accurate, and I think. Yes, I've seen all the memes about how he's the best rookie quarterback and stuff like that. Everyone needs to understand as well that he went to the best situation. The Patriots spent about $200 million this year in the off season getting talent. They've got 2 really good tight ends. You've got Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry. Going to the wide receivers aren't great. Who did they get? Aguilar's gone there, hasn't he?
Yeah, Nelson Aguilar's gone there. They've got that Jacoby Myers who's okay. They've got N'Keal Harry who was supposed to be very good at the start of the season.
Yeah, and then they've got running back by committee, but they're all like slightly above average running backs.
Yeah, their running game is good. Their offensive line is great as well.
Yeah, so I think they picked up Judon, didn't they, to get the other team off the field. I don't know. I think, but all that being said, I mean, I think if you'd have put if you put Lawrence in that position, if you put maybe Zach Wilson, I think they all have better sort of stats than what they've currently got. But Mac Jones is steady hands. He's not trying to force things down the field. He takes what he's given, uses. I mean, Hunter Henry's been a great weapon for him, and he's just quite accurate with the ball. He didn't throw a pick for like the first 5 games, and then I think he threw like 3 in one game. But
yeah,
no, I quite like Mac Jones.
Yeah, no, for sure. And in one of our previous segments, I think I said that he was going to be Rookie of the Year. So he's on track for that for sure. And yeah, he is very accurate. I think it probably comes down to coaching. You know, Bill Belichick's been slated at the start of the season saying that he's nothing without Tom Brady, but I think he's coming back and showing that actually he's obviously worth his mustard. And the Patriots defense keep putting Mac Jones in a favourable position, right? They are a good defense, even without Gilmore and even without some of the players that they've had to let go in the off season. They've acquired some talent. Matthew Judon is having one of the best seasons as a, what do you want to call him? Is he a linebacker, pass rusher? I'm not too sure, but
he's an outside linebacker, I think.
Yeah, but he's having a phenomenal season. Every week he wears those red sleeves, and every week you see him all over the fucking quarterback.
Yeah.
So
he had another sack last night.
Yeah, Mac Jones is great. He's up there. So good on the Patriots. Well done for taking him. And then AFC slap. Who are you going with for a big fat AFC slap?
It's another quarterback by the name of Baker Mayfield.
Ooh, Baker.
Yeah, he was awful this week against. Who did they lose to? They got absolutely rolled. 2 seconds.
Yeah, the Browns.
It was the Patriots. That's why.
Patriots, yeah,
that's why it was on my mind. Yeah, they got absolutely. The Patriots were just trolling them at the end. I think. I mean, he was 11 for 21 for 73 yards. Baker was awful.
That is terrible stats.
He did go off injured, and Case Keenum came on, but no, he was awful. He's definitely gonna benefit from having Nick Chubb back this week because he missed the game because of COVID. So
yeah, it takes the pressure off, doesn't it? Having a running back of that caliber definitely takes the pressure off. So cool. So AFC slap goes to Baker Mayfield, and it's well deserved because that Browns team is way more talented than it is than it has wins on its table right now. So it's got to come down to your franchise quarterback.
Indeed. Right, that's enough from me. Who are you going to sign from the NFC this week?
So from the NFC this week, this is an outfield one. From left field. I'm going to sign AJ Dillon from the Green Bay Packers.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the Packers' backup running back. So this isn't a sexy sign by any means. This is not something glamorous, but he played against the Seattle Seahawks this week in what was one of the most dismal performances from a Seattle Seahawks perspective that I have potentially ever witnessed. There are some reasons behind it, which I'll get into a bit later on. But AJ Dillon came in because Aaron Jones, their first running back, went down, and he always gets carries with the Packers. I feel like they want to play him more than they actually do, but because of what they have in Aaron Jones, they don't play him as much. But AJ Dillon to me is kind of like a little bit of a poor man's Derrick Henry. When he came into the league, he looked like he was going to be an impact power back with a bit of speed, and he's got legs the size of me. He came into this game, he scored 2 touchdowns. He only had about 60 yards on the ground, but one of them was a really, really nice run on the outside. He kept his agility in there, kept his toes inside, didn't go out of bounds. He basically made the Seahawks bounce off him on a number of runs. He looks like a great running back, and I think that it's not the worst thing in the world if Aaron Jones goes down. AJ Dillon is exactly the kind of running back that Pete Carroll wants at the Seahawks, basically. Some big bastard who people are going to bounce off when you run the ball on first and second down. So I'm taking AJ Dillon. I personally think, give it 2 years, I think he's going to be the lead back in Green Bay or the lead back wherever else he goes, but considering he's on a rookie deal, I think he'll be the lead back in Green Bay. I think Aaron Jones may have to fall off, and AJ Dillon will be the one that steps up. Personally, that's just me calling it out.
Yeah, he happened to my fantasy this week. Aaron Jones is out for like 2 weeks now, I think. Mm-hmm. But this will be interesting to see because he's going to get all the carries now rather than splitting them. I think he's better than Aaron Jones anyway. He's just, like you say, he runs like Derrick Henry, but he's got the physique of Nick Chubb. He's like a hybrid of them two. Yeah. But when he hits that edge, he goes. He's got a bit of toe on him as well for I'm not calling him a fat man, but a little bowling ball kind of like, because he'd absolutely run a train on me if he wanted to. No, I think it's a great pick. And Aaron Jones, the last 2 seasons, has been getting less and less carries, and more have been going to him, so I think it's a great shot.
Nice. So AJ Dillon, that's my man this week.
And then who are you going to slap from the NFC?
This week I'm going to slap the Iceman himself, Matt Ryan. Matty Ice is catching a big old slap.
Yeah.
So this is the quarterback for the Falcons in Atlanta. I mean, I was there last week. He would not have been a popular man. He threw 117 yards and 2 interceptions. He was that bad that Josh Rosen came in the game and threw another interception for good measure. The Falcons really, really do suck. And they suck on so many levels. And where they shouldn't suck is Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan for years has been a staple, very, very good quarterback. MVP candidate. In fact, MVP winner at one point, only a handful of years ago. And he's a shadow of his old self. I think maybe he's one of those quarterbacks that hits a certain age, because they can't all do it, hits a certain age and gets bitten by that old man syndrome, And I think that he is maybe on his way out. And I think that the Falcons need to really be looking at what their next opportunity at quarterback looks like, because Matt Ryan has got some weapons. And even before this game, he's never really been able to make a huge deal of Julio Jones. Sorry, that's a lie. He used to be able to make a huge deal of Julio Jones, but certainly not in the last 4 years. In some of the prime years that Julio's had, he's got a fantastic receiver in Calvin Ridley, who's obviously quit football at the moment because of personal issues, but he's never really made use of him either. And now you've got Kyle Pitts, and I feel like Kyle Pitts is doing, I've seen the man in physical form with my own eyes. The guy is a beast, and he's athletic. He's a freak of nature. And Matt Ryan is doing with Kyle Pitts exactly what he's doing with Julio Jones. And I think the common denominator is Matt Ryan, because Julio used to gain yards but never score touchdowns. Kyle Pitts is doing exactly the same. He's putting up yards, but when it comes to the crunch, throwing him deep, throwing him into the end zone, he's not doing it. Kyle Pitts has had 1 touchdown this year, but he's had like 700 yards. That's ridiculous. He's on par to be the highest receiving yard tight end in its rookie year ever, but he's got 1 touchdown. Those things don't add up. And to me, the same as Julio Jones, he used to have yards but no touchdowns. I think it's on Matt Ryan. So 2 interceptions and a big fat loss. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. Especially, they were playing the Cowboys, and the Cowboys are good, but they're not that good, and their defense is not that good. You should be putting points up on them. So, yeah, rant over. I'm slapping Matty Ryan.
Well, he's had a stinker in back-to-backs, because we'll talk about this game next week, but they got shut out last night by the Patriots. So,
oh dear.
So in 2 weeks, they've conceded 68 points and scored 3.
That is pathetic.
He's thrown 4 interceptions and no touchdowns. Josh Rosen came in on this game for an interception, and then some you've called, who even is this bloke? Felipe Franks.
Oh,
he came on, and he threw an interception. So my conclusion to this is the Falcons are shit.
Valid.
But yeah, no, I don't know, it's weird, isn't it? He's just not aging like Brady's aging. Do you know what I mean?
No, he's not.
But yeah, what was it, 2015, 2016? Maybe
I want to say,
I don't even know, 2017 maybe?
I want to say 2016 was his MVP year. I could be wrong. Maybe you can do the research and find out. But he has been that good, you know, and actually for many, many years, he was considered a top tier quarterback and he always made the Falcons competitive. Their team is not that bad on paper, you know, they've got some weapons and he's
the
just
defense is pretty shit.
Oh yeah, the defense is shit. Yeah.
But their offense, no, you're right. And I mean, Cordarrelle Patterson, he didn't play last night, but they've unlocked him. He's become a good weapon for them. But without Julio, they've lost that deep threat. So they've got like a middle to like a short to middle threat in Kyle Pitts, who probably can go deep, but he's not got the toe that he ran like a 4.4 at the 40, but he ain't Julio Jones, is he? Let's be honest. He's never going to be Julio Jones. They play a different position for starters, but.
Yeah.
You don't want to waste these people's career. That's what pisses me off a little bit. If Saquon had stayed healthy, I'd have been like, we're wasting his career. But thankfully, he's been hit by the injury bug. So these generational type players, the Titans, they wasted Derrick Henry's career, you know.
So that's it. Matt Ryan catching a slap.
Sweet. From the AFC, who are you going to sign this week from there?
So from the AFC this week, I am going to sign Xavier Howard, cornerback from the Dolphins. So this week, the Dolphins managed to put a win on the Ravens. And I tell you what, this just goes into the conversation that we've had on the podcast and offline, just day to day, Dave. This season is a weird season in the NFL. It's a hard one to pin down because you've got teams beating teams that have beaten teams that aren't beating teams, and it's very, very weird. The fact that the Dolphins can roll in with 2 wins under their belt and beat the Ravens is, number one, ridiculous. But then you start to break down how they managed to do it, and it's on the defense, and it's actually on the defensive sort of play calling. They played defense a little bit like you like to play Madden, calling the same defense over and over again and hoping that it does the job, and actually it does. Yeah. So they're as difficult to play apparently this week as you are on Madden, Dave. For all the listeners out there, Dave's actually pretty good at Madden. But this week they were containing Lamar Jackson with a mid blitz and asking their corners to basically go one-on-one. And that's exactly what they did. And Xavier Howard is a cornerback that you can rely on going one-on-one with pretty much any receiver out there. And to top it off, he had a forced fumble recovered for a touchdown, which pretty much iced the game against the Ravens. So Xavier Howard's been doing bits for years, led the league in interceptions last year. Doesn't get the credit that is due. I think he's the highest paid corner in football this year, but irrespective, he's probably not a name that you shout out when you say best corner in the league. You know, best corner in the league, you go Jalen Ramsey, you go, I know they said Desmond Trufant then, but that's definitely not the case. You go, Stephon Gilmore, those
Kevin
types
King.
of players. Kevin King. Cam wishes Kevin King. You go Jair Alexander, you know, you got James Bradbury, you got people that are lockdown corners, but you don't generally hear his names, you know, uttered too much. But Xavier Howard is an absolute baller. So, and the Seahawks evidently this week again have been proven that they just can't hang with the good offenses as well as they should. So please, Xavier Howard, give up all your multi-milliones in the Dolphins world and come and play for the Seahawks. Thank you very much.
For the veterans minimum. Sweet. So that leaves us with, who are you going to slap from the AFC?
So from the AFC this week, it is not an individual. It's not a coach. It's not a team. I'm slapping the organisation that is the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Damn.
I know, it's a statement, but they drew. It was a draw. A a draw with the Detroit Lions. Like, of all the teams out there, the Steelers, man, they are just so frustratingly shit to watch. It doesn't matter if they've got Big Ben or Mason Rudolph, or whether they throw the ball and hand it off to Najee Harris 65 times in a game. They just look shit. And I don't like them anymore. The Steelers are obviously, you know, when I say I'm slapping the organisation, they're one of the best organisations in football historically. You know, they have been up there with the best of them. They've had winning seasons for as long as I can remember. But this year, and even last year, they feel like somebody who's just sort of, you know, like hobbling towards the finish line. Just like Big Ben just seems like a really, like he's, you know, you see that like people running marathons and they manage to cross the line with like two of their mates like on either side being draped over. Like that's how I feel like Big Ben is going to finish his career. And it's a little bit depressing to see. I think Big Ben should just step away now and just be like, hey guys, hey look, my name's Ben Roethlisberger. I've won a Super Bowl and I've been competitive for years. However, I'm fat as fuck and I'm shit and I can't throw the ball anymore apart from a dump off to Najee Harris or to hand it off to his chest 600 times a game. I am very, very sorry, but I am not the answer in the Steelers world anymore. Pittsburgh, please put me to rest.
This game, like I'm just going to talk about it now rather than can't save it anymore. This game was the worst thing I have seen. Let me put that into perspective. I've been in the army 16 years. I've been to Afghanistan 3 times. This was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Okay? How, like, I like a laugh and I like to like joke around and stuff. This made me physically laugh out loud watching the overtime of like how many times both teams could fuck it up. Like both teams had it in like position to score and nobody scored. It was so bad. What is this gimp's name, the kicker for the Lions? Ryan Santoso. You, my friend, need to pack your bags up with Big Ben and just disappear into the ether. You are awful. Awful. It was such a bad game, but relatively funny to watch that I can't, like I wish, do you know on, Gogglebox, I wish I recorded myself watching it because there were so many times when I just had to laugh because it was so poor. And I feel like the Lions missed a field goal to win in overtime on purpose because they didn't want to win. Like they didn't want to win because even when he missed the kick, the coach didn't look bothered.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It was awful. And Jared Goff, man, just go away. You are a backup. The Lions are going to take a quarterback in the draft, and you will never see Goff again.
Yeah. Well, that's probably how it should go.
Yeah, it'll be a backup somewhere. I never want to see Mason Rudolph again.
No, he's terrible as well.
Threw the ball 50 times.
I wish Myles Garrett had hit him just a little bit harder with that helmet.
Yeah. Look at this. He threw the ball 50 times. 30 for 50 was. Najee Harris, 26 rushes for only 105 yards.
Yeah, it's terrible.
20. If you give Derrick Henry 26 touches of the ball, he'd have 400 yards.
Yeah. How many yards did Rudolph have off 50 passes?
242.
It's pathetic.
I don't even know what the averages are. Where's my things here? Let me find that.
242 off 50. Not a lot. Is that 3 yards a pass or some shit?
At 8 yards, he averaged 8 yards.
My maths is terrible.
Where he completed 30 of them. Najee Harris, 4 yards on average.
Right. Yeah, he's putting up numbers in fantasy, just so everyone's aware, because, again, keep calling him out on this podcast, but our good mate Cam picked up Najee Harris, and he keeps getting points off him because they keep handing him the ball. But the guy has, like, in his first 3 games, I think he averaged like 2.9 yards a carry, and then he's only just started extending that a little bit in the last few games. It's because they're handing it off to him so many times a game.
Yeah.
I mean, I run a 4.340 apparently nowadays. I could get that.
I just don't get it. I probably say it every week. I'm probably boring people by saying it. They are such a rat's franchise. They're a dirty franchise. There's 2 of them in the league, 3 of them. I'm going to count the Bears in it. They're 3 franchises which I just think look dirty. The Browns, the Steelers, and the Bears.
The Bears, yeah.
They're just like dirty franchises.
Yeah,
Don't ever look clean, do they?
No.
If you're looking for an NFL team to support, don't pick one of them.
No, please don't.
No. I mean, yeah, like you say, historically, the Steelers are one of the cornerstone franchises of the NFL. They've only ever had 3 coaches.
That's nuts.
In the entire history, 3 coaches.
Some other teams probably
do a lesson for that, yeah.
I'm slapping them anyway because they, I think they need it.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's it. That's the end of Slap or Sign. So we will now move on to our regular segment where we look at all the games from the last week. We're going to talk about the scores and some of the big plays, the big action we're going to go into on the clock. So this week we won't be talking about the Chicago Bears, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Houston Texans, or Dave's beloved New York Giants because they were all on a bye. But what we will be talking about is some of the games that were played in the early window. And that was the first game played on a Thursday night. I watched this whilst I was at an airport flying to New York. And this was the Ravens from Baltimore taking on the Miami Dolphins. And this finished Ravens 10, Dolphins 22. So Ravens came away from this one with a loss, even though they went in as very, very heavy favourites. I've spoke about it a little bit on the Slap or Sign because I took Xavier Howard from the Dolphins. He got the go-to score in this game by knocking out a forced fumble and returning it for a touchdown. But Dave, this was an upset, and does this pose questions for the Ravens, do you think, or was it just a slip?
I think this could be, do you know how everyone seemingly figured out how to beat the Chiefs if you've got a good defense?
Yeah.
This could be that game for the Ravens where you dare Lamar Jackson to throw the ball 50 times because there's no way they can physically run the ball. And the coaching won this game, didn't it? Definitely. Coaching from the Dolphins and the lack of ability. I mean, the Ravens wide receivers aren't that bad. Hollywood Brown's pretty good. He's rapid as well.
But that's it. If you've got corners that can hang with them and can actually put them in the pocket, you haven't got a lot else there, have you? They've got Andrews at tight end who seemingly does bits, but actually, I think personally, Mark Andrews is a very distinctly average tight end. I think he's just been on, sort of favourable receptions from Lamar because people are always worried about him running, so he often gets linebackers bite, which leaves him open in the midfield. Yeah,
probably. I don't dislike him. I do think he's average. He doesn't ever jump out the TV at you with like big long runs or whatever. He's just a handy tight end to have, isn't he? But the good thing about him is he catches everything.
He does, yeah.
But yeah, when you look at this game, they didn't manage 100 rush yards. And if you say the Ravens were going to be under 100 rush yards, I'd call you crazy. But yeah, they were for this game. When you trust, as long as you can trust your corners to win their one-on-one matchups against the receivers, you can play cover zero and live comfortably by it. And you can just apply pressure to the. I mean, you're never playing that against Mahomes, are you?
No, absolutely not, because you get absolutely burnt.
Because he can escape out the pocket and he's got magic harmony, whereas Lamar Jackson isn't so much. He's kind of a north-south runner. He's not running around the backfield like a Kyler Murray, like a Russell Wilson or Patrick Mahomes, where they can escape the pressure and then make something happen. Lamar Jackson's a find a hole in front of you, a QB draw go, or a QB designed run and go.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that was That was a big upset. That was at the Dolphins' house in Miami. Ravens fall to 6-3 in the AFC, opening that one wide up, and then Dolphins go to 3-7. Still looking pretty garbage, as the French would say, but getting a win against the Ravens is no easy feat.
Right.
On to the next one. I'm going to talk about the game that I was physically there for this week, and that is the Buffalo Bills taking on the New York Jets. So the Buffalo Bills entered the Jets' house, entered MetLife Stadium, and as I mentioned, I was there. The stadium's fantastic. It was rocking. There was a few spare seats in the house, which you would expect from a Jets game, I think, but actually this game is a bit of a derby. The Buffalo Bills are based out of northern New York, so in Buffalo, it's still a fair drive, probably even a flight, but technically it's an East Coast derby. It's definitely one for the fans. There was a lot of Bills fans there. There was a lot of Jets fans there. This one from the off, though, unfortunately, was not very well balanced. So the Bills won this game comfortably, 45 to a Jets 17. And when I say 45 to the Jets 17, we're talking the Jets putting up 14 points in the fourth quarter in garbage time when the Bills had checked out some of their starting players. They pulled a lot of their starters, and the Jets put 14 points up in the last quarter, and that was really just because the Bills had taken the foot off the gas. The Bills scored 10 in the first quarter, 7 in the second, 21 in the third, and then another 7 for good measure in the fourth. Taking the score to 45. What I'd like to say is that the Bills dominated, specifically on one side of the ball, but they didn't. They dominated on every side of the ball. Bills' offense was outstanding. I got to witness Josh Allen firsthand. He's a great player. Seeing him up close, he's big. He's bigger than you expect. He's bigger than you think. He's bigger than he looks on TV. He's like 6'5", Dave.
Yeah, he's a big dude. And
he's got an arm. No wonder he's got a cannon. No wonder he's I think they say that he's potentially got the biggest arm in the NFL. It looks like it. It looks like it, when he's whipping that ball about. I mean, he threw some deep balls and some really accurate balls, but Stephon Diggs had 162 yards and a touchdown in this game. I watched Josh Allen throw absolute dimes and bullets at him, and he caught both. I was kind of glowing on the Bills a little bit because, I went into the game wanting the Bills to win. I've got their defense in my fantasy. It's a shame that the Jets put up some garbage points, but they had about 4 takeaways. I think they picked off Mike White got picked off 4 times in the game, and it was almost every time he dropped back to throw a ball that was any further than sort of 5-6 yards. You kind of almost felt like it was going to end up in the hands of a Bills player. They've got some smashing players, man, like Jordan Poyer, Tre'Davious White, their linebackers, Mike Milano, and there was another player who I kept hearing his name all the freaking time. I can't remember it right now, but I kept hearing his name on everything.
Klein.
That's it, Klein.
A.J. Klein.
Yeah, Klein. He was a linebacker, and he was just at the bottom of every pile, tackling anything that moved. I don't know how many fantasy points he got, but he must have got a few because I just kept hearing his name. But basically,
six tackles and 1 assisted tackle.
Okay, that's not fantastic then. I mean, Bobby does that in the first quarter, but I mean, it was what it was. The Jets just looked overwhelmed by a powerful Bills team who needed a bounce back after losing to the Jags and losing in such spectacular fashion. To score only 6 points, I suppose, is very unspectacular for the Bills, and then to come into this game and drop 45 on a Jets. And if you would say anything about the Jets, it's probably that their defense is better than their offense, and they got overwhelmed in this one. So yeah, I'm trying to struggle to think about any positives for the Jets. There aren't many. Their fans, I suppose, their fans are just hilarious. Their fans were just like sat in the stands. Any decision, even like if it was a blatant flag or something like that, they're sat in the wings like, come on, buddy, what are you doing? Come on, you gotta pick that fucking flag up. Oh, come on, referees, you're on the payroll. And it was all this kind of stuff. And I was just like, come on. I mean, I kept jumping up for the Bills defense every now and again, and they were like, oh, come on, buddy. Yeah, you're at an insult to injury. And it was all this kind of stuff. And it was pretty funny, but they've got a very, very strong fan base. Like, I found it pretty hilarious to watch them. They're very passionate, let's say the least. And I tell you what, the tailgating outside the stadium, barbecues, they had burgers, sausages going on, grabbed a hot dog, munched that one down. They're giving them out to everyone. Probably explains the stomachache I had the next day. But nevertheless, it's a great atmosphere at that stadium, and fair play to the Jets fans. It's just, it wasn't their day. The Bills were way too much. So, good game though. Good game. So the Bills start to rise again in the AFC, 6-3, and the Jets continue to fall, and they're 2-7.
Do you think they're going to regret taking Zach Wilson? Do you think he'll ever become a good quarterback?
I think you might be right. We've had this conversation before, David. You were never high on him, and I really was coming out of the draft. Looking at it, and obviously I didn't see him play in this game, but from what I've seen so far, I feel like he might be too small. Yeah. I think that he is a little boy at the moment, and maybe when he grows up a little bit, this sounds really condescending, but maybe when he turns into a bit more of a man, and he can handle pressure, he can handle being hit. His arm talent's probably there already, but it could only be better, right? If he was a bit more stout. I can't see it personally right now. I feel like he's in a world of trouble. I don't know. What do you think?
I just thought it was a bit flashy before. I feel like people see Mahomes and they try and be Mahomes when there's only one Mahomes. It's all right doing all the sideways throws and stuff like that, but that's a nicety to have. You have to be a good quarterback as well.
True.
And not only that, Mahomes is good, and I'm sure Mahomes would be very good on any team in the NFL, just like a Russell Wilson would, Tom Brady would. Tom Brady carried the Patriots for years to the Super Bowl with a distinctly average team. Offense, yeah. Yeah, offense. And Mahomes would be exactly the same. I just don't see that in some of these younger quarterbacks. I'm still on the fence about my own quarterback, and I think Daniel Jones is a lot better than Zach Wilson is. I don't know. I just think sitting for a couple of years. I wish we'd have kept Eli Manning for two more years. And Daniel Jones could have sat behind him and learned how to play the game of football properly. And I just think that people like Zach Wilson are being seen off with that level of education because who was the Jets quarterback before he got there? Who was their franchise guy? They've not had one for fucking years. No. And I feel like that's the detriment of some of these quarterbacks now that are coming into these shit, like Trevor Lawrence. At least Mac Jones had Cam Newton there for a little bit, where even for like half a season, or like the off season, so he could learn from him. And
they're asking less of him, though, aren't they, as well? So I think what you've touched on there is something that's definitely the case. When you talk about Tom Brady, so like let's put these people in: Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Matt Ryan, maybe Russell Wilson, probably not so much, but yes, they all sat behind established starters for a very long time. I mean, Russell Wilson didn't so much, but he didn't come in and start straight away. Aaron Rodgers sat behind Brett Favre for like 2 years. Brady sat behind, I can't remember his name now, forgive me, but he sat as well for a while. I think the expectation on rookie quarterbacks now is maybe they're expecting too much. Back in the day, even like 5-6 years ago or 7 or 8 years ago when I first started watching football, drafting a rookie quarterback didn't mean that your franchise changed in the immediate future. Yeah. Generally it didn't. Nobody was that hyped up. I feel like in the last 4 years since sort of like Josh Rosen, Baker Mayfield, Johnny Manziel actually was probably the probably the one that went to the Browns where everyone was like, fuck, Browns, they're going to enter the playoffs. And he was terrible, because people had the expectation that rookie quarterbacks were going to come in. Being a quarterback's about your mind, so much more about your mind than it is your arm talent. And I think that's where Mac Jones is excelling, because I think he's secretly got it clued up here. And whether
he's an intelligent dude,
and he's got bloody Bill Belichick, hasn't he, telling him, don't throw
exactly.
these stupid balls.
And that's another thing, you know. They highlighted a press conference. So his latest press conference, they put that side by side of his first one. He sounds like a fucking robot now. Yeah, and they're basically like he is now the Patriot way. But you're right. I mean, Patrick Mahomes sat behind Alex Smith.
Yeah, totally.
And Alex Smith was a very good quarterback.
Very good.
Like another intelligent guy. And I think that's just the issue. But you look at the Aaron Rodgers, the Tom Brady's, the Russell Wilsons. They weren't early draft picks.
No.
And they didn't play at good schools. So you look at, say, Manziel won the Heisman, didn't he? Did he win the Heisman? I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah, he did.
All these players, so Trevor Lawrence played at Clemson. So that was basically an NFL team slapping the back doors off a high school football team every single week until you get to the playoffs where you play either Alabama, LSU, Ohio State, Oklahoma when they were good. Mm-hmm. So you're only playing probably 2 games a year that actually matter. That actually are hard games. And so they're used to playing with all this talent and being better than everybody else and being able to make mistakes because their defense is an NFL defense and they're going to take the ball back anyway. And then they come to the NFL, and if you get drafted number 1, you're going to the worst team in the league unless somebody's traded picks away. You're going to the worst team in the league. There's no way that a young 21-year-old bloke is changing the way that football team plays football because he's probably going to be immature. He's going to be not a senior bloke in the locker room, and his coach ain't going to trust him because he's new, you know. So I think that's why I think these people getting drafted in the top 10 quarterbacks or whatever, they're just not. They don't really have a chance, and I think it's a little bit shit on them that they then
suffer.
For 4 years until they probably don't get re-signed, and then they go somewhere as a backup or somewhere else. They go to a better team.
Yeah,
it's just what Eli Manning did, and just be like, I ain't playing for the Chargers.
Yeah,
Guess
exactly.
what? The San Diego Chargers can absolutely fucking do one.
Yeah,
go into the Giants, which have got a good team at the time.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think that's right. And
bit of a tangent,
we've gone on a massive tangent, but I think it's a worthwhile one. I think it's today's culture as well, though, right? And not to go,
now, isn't it?
Not to go too deep on it, but like people want things now. They want them. They want them now. They're not willing to wait. They're not willing to be patient. They're not willing to build a franchise. It's like, if we're not good now, I'm not happy. I'm not going to go into the world of people, but that's kind of how things are at the moment with fucking everything. You order something off Amazon, you want it yesterday. If it's not here, you're on the phone to the customer service team going, where's my shit? It's the same principle just across fucking everything. And right now, fans are not willing to wait, unless you're the Browns fans, maybe you are. But
no, you're right. I think it's having that. It's having that patience with, and not just having that patience with players. Having that patience with managers, man. We've been through so many managers in the last fucking 5-6 years. And it don't pay off. You've got to give them time. Alex Ferguson was dog shit when he took over at Manchester. I know this is like a soccer thing, but when United weren't great when he took over, and now you look back, he won like 13 titles, numerous Champions Leagues, Manager of the Year titles, because he had time to build something. There's nothing more frustrating than sacking people GMs is a little bit different because they've got a plan, they come with a plan, they're going to rebuild a team. If they don't rebuild it and it's shit after 5 years, that's their fault for the picks they've done. Get rid of them, clean house. But managers, unless they've completely lost the locker room, I think you need to maintain them.
You do. Unless you're Pete Carroll. And in which case you might chew chewing gum like Alex Ferguson, but it's time to go, buddy. Time to go. But no, you're right, exactly right. So we were talking about the Jets and the Bills, and we've gone on to quarterbacks. But that's the way the world of podcasting works. And we're going to steam through some other scores then that were pretty much irrelevant to the game weeks. If we look at the next one, which was the Eagles playing the Broncos, both turbo turd teams. The Eagles managed to win this one 30-13. Broncos are having a weird season. They're 5-5. They've won big games and lost turd games. Very, very strange. But the Eagles, fair play to them for getting the job done, considering they've got Jalen Hurts, who is the walking turd on the football pitch.
Yeah.
Teddy Bridgewater had a very, very average day. Not really sure where these wins or points came from, looking at the top line stats, but ultimately it looks like both these teams rushed a fair amount, and the defenses came up big. I think was it Tate had a really good game for the Eagles and managed to score on defense.
Devontae Smith looks pretty good.
Does he look good?
Yeah, I thought he was a bit too skinny to play in the NFL, but he's good. He is.
Okay.
He's the only part of the Eagles that I don't despise until we've played them, and if he shits all over us,
you'll hate him.
Will I ever?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if only he had a good quarterback to be thrown at by, right? So
no, I want him to have a shit quarterback.
Or if he got traded to a different team. So Eagles rise to 4-6, and the Broncos remain at 5-5. Next game was the Vikings. Vikings took on the LA Chargers. So Minnesota Vikings taking on the Chargers. This game was scoreless in the first quarter, and then points began to ensue. Vikings won this game 27-20. Both quarterbacks had reasonable games. I suppose Herbert was shut down a little bit more than Cousins. Cousins thrown for nearly 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. Dalvin Cook is being welcomed back to the NFL after one of his normal mid-season injuries, 100 yards and a touchdown. And Justin Jefferson looked like he took over this game. Dave, I didn't watch this game in particular detail, but he had 150 yards. Did he look good, or what was that all about?
I think they were quite quiet yards, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
You didn't see a lot of this game on the red zone.
Okay.
And I'm not going to pretend that the Vikings are a team that are sitting watching great detail, but yeah, I think every time there's a few turnovers. Is that maybe what? No, only one.
It's a bit of a low key game then.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't think I've got one Chargers player on my fantasy team or a Vikings one, and in a weird sort of way, when I hear a name when I'm watching the red zone, I zone in and out. I don't know.
Depending on your fantasy team.
I think so, yeah, a little bit, or who I'm playing against.
Yeah.
Jackson, yeah, I mean, 143 yards, but no, I don't think it was on the red zone much because I have got Thielen. So I've got Adam Thielen, but I don't feel like I ever saw him get a catch, but he's got 5 of them there, so This might have been one of the games that was on like either blacked out or not a lot happened. I mean, 20-27 is not a bad scoreline, but
it's not a huge amount of points, so is it? It looked like there was a fair few field goals in there, maybe 3 scores, 4 scores, but yeah. So the Vikings go 3-5, which is not competitive in that division considering the Packers are running away with it. The Chargers fall to 5-4, which just keeps that top of the NFC even more competitive. Next game is an interesting one. We spoke about one of the quarterbacks in this game, and that was the Carolina Panthers taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Both teams without their starting quarterbacks, so not a great one to watch on paper. But the Panthers won this one 34 to the Cardinals' dismal 10. Colt McCoy was starting for the Cardinals. Is it PJ Walker was starting for the Panthers?
Yeah.
But the points weren't scored by Walker. Cam Newton came in and rushed for 1 touchdown and threw for another. PJ Walker only had 167 yards through the air. And even worse, Colt McCoy had 107. That is a pathetic performance from a quarterback.
Yeah, the funny thing is, when the Alliance of American Football started as like the mid-season football a couple of years ago, when the NFL was in its off-season, Vince McMahon had bought it, so I was like, oh, I'll watch it. So one The Rock's bought. He's bought off Vince McMahon.
Oh, XFL.
XFL, sorry, yeah. I think it was Alliance of American Football before that. So the XFL, when that was on, I watched PJ Walker playing that.
Okay.
Yeah, he was like, so when I obviously didn't know that he'd gone to the Panthers. But
Right.
when I was watching that, PJ Walker he was undefeated in it. I don't think he's lost a game yet because they won this.
Right. Okay.
So he was like 6-0 in that, and then it collapsed. But I used to watch and I think, oh, he looks alright, he does.
Yeah.
And now he's playing for the Panthers. Yeah, it was good to see him win. And I mean, Colt McCoy last week had an absolute hell of a game.
Yeah.
But this week I assume this is the reason why he's a backup. He's got no consistency. I mean, I think he's a bit of a vet, but yeah, he's had a stinker. They didn't score a point in the second half.
No.
And the Panthers, like, when Cam came on, I knew he was going to score. Like, you just knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it was McCaffrey was back, wasn't he? So he was.
Yeah, he had
He was doing
something yards.
Yeah.
150 yards total. He rushed 13 times and received 10 times. So, like you said last week, they don't mind giving him the workload when he's just come back off an injury, do they? Fucking hell.
Yeah, it's what running backs do last, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So he'll be going down in the next 2 weeks, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Moving on again, a game that's not really too worth talking about, even though it contains the GOAT. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they lost to the Washington football team. 19 to the Buccaneers, 29 to the football team. Tom Brady had 220 and 2 touchdowns, but also interceptions. I think he had 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I think it was 2. So giving the ball back to the Washington football team is not a good thing to do. Tyler Heineke's actually not a bad quarterback, Dave.
Said it.
You did?
Said it at the start of the season that they should have been starting him instead of Fitzmagic.
Yeah.
But I feel again like with a season of, I think his first game was the playoff game against Tampa Bay last season, and he played well in that.
He did, yeah.
I think with a full season of footage, he'll be nothing next year.
Do you reckon?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
I just think he's got something about him which makes him better than like whatever else they've got. But with a season of film, I think there'll be a ways to. It's like him and who did I slap from the Eagles? What's his name?
Jalen Hurts.
I feel like with a full season of, because he was in and out of the lineup last year with Carson Wentz playing. I think with a full season of footage on both, I think they'll both be nullified next year.
Okay.
But the Bucs seem to have a massive issue with playing teams in the NFC East. So we've owned them as a franchise before Brady got there, and even last year we could have beaten them. Mm-hmm. This year, the Washington football teams beat them. The Cowboys nearly beat by the Cowboys, and they were nearly beat by the Eagles. So they've had points put on them. I think the Cowboys put 30 points on them, the Eagles put 30 points on them, and the Washington football team and we're playing them on Monday. So hopefully hopefully we can do something against them as well. But which is strange because it's such a dominating defense last year. They're just.
Yeah, the Bucs defense is not where it was last year by no means at this point. Their offense is, but their defense is not.
But my mind's thinking that they don't give a shit about the regular season. Like, as soon as playoffs come, they'll just flip that switch and they're going to dismantle everybody.
Fair. A little bit like basketball. Just get into the playoffs and then...
Yeah, like the regular season doesn't... Like, Tom Brady ain't caring about the regular season, is he? He's not trying to win MVPs like Rodgers was last year because he knew he had no chance of winning the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. Tom Brady don't care about that. He cares about rings at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So I think he's just trying to get them over the line, and then when it comes to it, they're all just going to flip the switch and, well, they need to hope that's going to happen. Because at the minute, there's going to be 2 teams in the Super Bowl that haven't been there for a while.
Yeah, true.
I don't know who it's going to be.
Very true. So the Bucs fall to 6-3, and the Washington football team rise up to 3-6. The New Orleans Saints took on the trending Titans. So the trending Tennessee Titans taking on the New Orleans Saints. The Titans get the job done. Get the job done without Derrick Henry. Get the job done without Julio Jones. Titans win in a close one, 23-21. Now, Titans have beat some good teams, Dave. Their Titans are 8-2. 8-2.
I know, yeah. The top of the AFC.
Absolutely mental. And I think I said last week or maybe the week before that I thought that their hangover of a win, losing Derrick Henry was a one-off. Boy, was I wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's. It's good to be a Titans fan. They look like the real deal. Their defense, because I thought their defense was going to be what was going to kill them this year because they got rid of everyone, but they're looking good. I mean, the Saints have a hamstrung quarterback, aren't they? Because even when
Trevor Siemian,
even when they've got who's the starting quarterback, James Winston, even when they've got famous Seamus, they're hamstrung because you don't know what you're going to get from him. You're going to get he's a young Ryan Fitzpatrick, where week in, week out, he is not consistent.
Yeah.
When he's good, he's good, but when he's bad, he wheel bad.
They also didn't have Alvin Kamara in the game as well. The Saints, who is their like safety blanket when it comes to points.
Yeah, I think Melvin Ingram set their record for most yards by running back in that game as well.
Mark Ingram.
Mark Ingram, yeah. What did I say?
Melvin. He's a player as well, though, so don't beat yourself up.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he did. Mark Ingram, he only had 47 yards off 14 attempts, but, he got a touchdown. Saints lose to the Titans, and Titans, go into the AFC top 8-2. Another game, Jaguars. The winning Jaguars, who beat the Bills last week, came into the house of the Colts, and they got beat up. Colts won 23-17, although I suppose that's not a beating. Looks like both quarterbacks had pretty much a stinker. Absolutely. Trevor Lawrence with 162 and Carson Wentz with 180.
Killed me off that game did.
Not a good one though.
Fantasy wise, I put like an idiot, like a buffoon. I thought your Seahawks were gonna keep I cannot think of anybody's name at the minute. Aaron Rodgers quiet, but that didn't happen. No. And I thought Carson Wentz was going to piss all over the Drags, and that didn't happen. So I got about 11 points off Carson Wentz, and the person I was playing had Jonathan Taylor. So,
well, there you go. And Jonathan Taylor seems to be the driving force for this Colts team, no matter what. The guy is an automatic 100+ yards and a touchdown, and which is exactly what he had in this game. So Colts go to 5-5. They're on the rise, and the Jaguars lose another one and drop to 2-7.
I think Jonathan Taylor's he's going to lead the league in rushing. This is how dominant Derrick Henry is, that he's not played for 2 weeks and he's still leading the league in rushing.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. But you are right. I think Jonathan Taylor's going to overtake. The Lions Steelers. So we talked about this game earlier. There is no need to talk about it anymore, other than the fact that it finished 16 to the Lions, 16 to the Steelers in overtime. No team managed to get it done. Both teams looked pure trash, absolutely abysmal. As me and Dave would say, walking turds. And that game never, ever, ever needs to be watched in the light of day by anybody else.
Unless you're feeling bad. Like, you feel bad about yourself, you need cheering up, watch it, because it's genuinely funny.
Fair enough. So the Lions fall to 0-8. So that's no wins, 8 losses, and 1 draw. And the Steelers fall to 5-3 and 1 draw. Absolutely pathetic to see a draw on the board. Nobody wants that. As if the Lions have got half a win this season. They may as well have just given up. Another game played this week was the Browns taking on the Patriots. We've covered this one already when talking about Mac Jones, but the Browns only scored 7 points. That was in the opening quarter. The Patriots put 45 points on the Browns. Now that, to me, on paper, looks ridiculous because the Browns defense is good. How on earth did the Patriots put 45 points on that defense, Dave? Case Keenum had 81 yards and he was the leading quarterback passer for the Browns by the looks of things.
Yeah, I don't know. Mac Jones is efficient, isn't he? I think, and that's just...
Yeah.
Did he have any takeaways? I cannot.
So Mac Jones had 3 touchdowns and 200 yards. I don't know if he had... Baker Mayfield had an interception.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
So they got a takeaway. The New England Patriots were actually doing so well that they ended up putting Brian Hoyer in for Mac Jones, who also threw a touchdown.
Yeah, I think it was a pick. They had a pick six as well. I think that's what it was.
Oh, did they?
Oh no, I might be lying to you.
They, I think J.C. Jackson got a pick. I'm not too sure. I could be mistaking it with last night. But either way, 45 points on that Stevenson for the Patriots. He came in because one of the running backs from New England was out for the game. And Stevenson had 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. Mac Jones, 3 touchdowns. Brian Hoyer, 1 touchdown. And Baker Mayfield from the Browns with 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So that's going to do it. The Browns didn't have either of their top 2 running backs. So Nick Chubb was inactive and Kareem Hunt is on injured reserve at the moment. So you could argue that the Browns are operating with much less than they would hope. But still,
I think he's got about 100 yards, didn't he?
Who's that?
Dearness Johnson, 99 yards. So he's done his job.
Yeah, he's done his job for sure. Just not enough.
No.
I mean, you got Jarvis Landry on this team, Dave. Landry is a class act, and he had 26 yards receiving.
Yeah, the quarterbacks are mongs, aren't they? Like they've not got. If you put Aaron Rodgers in that team, and they're probably clearing the board of everybody.
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
And Njoku's a fantastic tight end.
He is, yeah. Hooper is a great tight end.
Yeah, Austin Hooper. They've got 3 good tight ends there. Mm-hmm. Sure, I've said it before, but
definitely.
Any
hooser, not worth talking about anymore. We've spoken about this one too. The Falcons played the Cowboys. The Falcons lost to the Cowboys 43-3. We've covered this when talking about Matt Ryan. The Falcons fall to 4-5, which I think is a generous. That's not even a word. Is a generous score or result line for the Falcons overall, considering how stinking they've been. And the Cowboys go to 7-2. That's a hell of a record for a Cowboys team that was not pegged to be anything at the start of this year. 43 points is decent to put up, and Dak Prescott is looking very, very good. We'll have to say that he's in top 5 MVP candidate at the moment. Would you argue?
Yeah, fuck Dak Prescott.
Okay, yeah, all right, fair enough. And then finally, before we talk about the Seahawks, oh no, we've got 2 more games. One is the Rams. So the Rams played the Niners. We've covered this one too, but the Niners managed to beat the Rams at home. 31 to the Rams 10. They were stifled on offense. Matt Stafford with 243 yards and a touchdown. Jimmy Garoppolo with 182 and 2 touchdowns. Deebo Samuel doing bits as he always does, somehow, because I don't really rate him. But this was a little bit of a story of the defense holding Matt Stafford to 1 touchdown and turning him over as well. Matt Stafford had 2 interceptions, which were lethal interceptions when you're in a game where things are tight until late on. It's one of those games where the Rams just could not fight their way back in it. And the Rams, this super team, this fantasy Von Miller edition, Odell Beckham edition, Matt Stafford edition, meeting Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. These players should be phenomenal, and yet here we are being beat by the average Niners and Jimmy G.
Yeah, I think it's going to take time to click on it. Once they've got some chemistry, I think it's going to be a different story.
You reckon that's what's going to happen?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Once Odell Beckham's got a bit of once Matt Stafford trusts Beckham, as much as he does Cooper Kupp, they're going to be a lethal combo. And I think with Von Miller playing at linebacker and stuff, obviously you lose a bit of coverage by playing him, because obviously that's not his game. His game's to ruin the quarterback's day. Mm-hmm. I think they just need to play a little bit together. I say Von Miller, was that his first game? That's his first game. That was as a Ram. Odell Beckham had been there less than half a week. Mm-hmm. And they're playing a team, the Niners, who are good. They're like the Saints. They're either really good or they're really bad.
Yeah.
And this week they were really good.
Fair play. So we'll wait and see what happens with the Rams as they begin to gain some chemistry. So the Rams fall to 7-3, and the Niners rise up to 4-5 in the NFC West. Last game, Chiefs, Kansas City took on the Las Vegas Raiders. The Chiefs, for the first time in a very long time, looking like the old kind of Chiefs, beating the Raiders 41-14. Patrick Mahomes, 406 yards and 5 passing touchdowns. Is this a blip or is this a thing?
I don't know. I memean, this is the first game this season, so in 10 games, this is the first game where Patrick Mahomes has been Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Like, put up on monster day, clean with no interceptions, over 400 yards, five passing touchdowns. It just seems like everybody clicked. Travis Kelce, 100 yards, 120 yards. Mm-hmm. Williams is the running back, 100 receiving yards. Tyreek Hill, 80 yards.
And 2 touchdowns. Yeah.
You know, so everybody came to play. And it's a divisional game in it, so there's a lot on the line with it. And the Chiefs are now top of their division. So look how quickly it's turned around from 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago when they were bottom.
Yep, totally.
Struggling to get a win. To now where, I mean, this is what they're capable of. And if they continue to put these performances together, everybody needs to be afraid of them, as they have been for the last 2 or 3 years. Because I don't care who you are, how good you are. If he's putting 400 yards on you and 5 touchdowns with no interceptions, you're not winning that game.
Yeah.
Unless your quarterback's doing the exact same thing and both defense are imploding.
Yeah.
You're not winning them games.
For sure. So the Chiefs go to 6-4 in the division, and as Dave said, they are now top when they were bottom only a few weeks ago. And the Raiders fall to 5-4, still leaving that division very competitive week in, week out. Finally, and I don't really fancy talking about this game for too long, so I won't, but this was the Seattle Seahawks going into the Green Bay Packers territory at Lambeau Field, and the Packers beat the Seahawks 17 points to the Seahawks 0. Now, yeah, this one's a difficult one for me to really talk about. I watched this game in its entirety. As soon as the information was given that this was going to be a snow game, so that this was going to be being played in Lambeau in Wisconsin in the snow, I immediately knew we were going to lose, and I immediately thought that we were going to lose badly. So the fact that we only allowed 17 points, and actually we only allowed 14 points in the fourth quarter against what was a very, for the first time in a long time, healthy Packers team, I'm actually not too depressed about. We held Rodgers to no touchdowns. He had 292 yards, but he had 0 touchdowns. So this is one of the first times that Aaron Rodgers, it's one of the first times that Aaron Rodgers has won a game when he's not thrown for a touchdown, and he's thrown for an interception. I think that's how it was. So Aaron Rodgers didn't actually score a touchdown. AJ Dillon, as we spoke about earlier, which is why I signed him, had 2. But if I talk about it, if I'm being realistic, this is how I take it. Our defense did really well because the Packers offense is much better than the Seahawks offense. And we held them to 3 points over 3 quarters, and it just came unstuck at the end. We picked Aaron Rodgers off. Blitz boy Jamal Adams manages to get his first interception in a very, very, very long time, which might negate some of the memes that might be heading his way, or might make them even worse. But the takeaway for me was Russell Wilson in this one, Dave. Russell Wilson coming back off his finger injury. I mean, he's one of the best to do it out there at the moment as quarterbacks go. But I could tell, as a Seahawks fan, maybe guys out there, if you're not Seahawks fans, fair enough. You might have said, Russell Wilson had a shit day. I could tell immediately that Russ's finger was playing a part in the game in a detrimental aspect. He was just missing people, and he doesn't miss people. He was overthrowing Tyler Lockett. He was underthrowing DK Metcalf. He just wasn't 100%. I wouldn't have played him if I was Pete Carroll, knowing what I suppose hindsight is a wonderful thing, but I wouldn't have played him this week. Packers was a game that coming into this game, I actually didn't expect to win, at all. I marked it down as a loss. Even for us to make the playoffs, I marked it down as a loss. But I wouldn't have played Russ because Gino was coming off a reasonably decent game before the bye week. And I just think give Russell Wilson that extra week to recover. We were crowbarring him in. It was like, is he going to be ready? Is he going to be ready? Yes, he's ready. Drop him in. And he still was playing with tape on his fingers or a support on his finger. And you could see immediately, as a quarterback fan, as a Russell Wilson fan, you could see Russ was not throwing the ball the way that Russ throws the ball. That's it. Simple as that. You can't beat the Packers if you have got a quarterback who is physically inept in any way or possible. So that's my take on it, really, is the fact that if Russell Wilson had been 100% healthy, I think we remain competitive. The fact that we kept the Packers to 17 points when the Packers are healthier than they've been for a long time, is a plus for our defense, actually, rather than negative, because a 17-point game against a normal Seahawks team, I think, is a win. And yeah, we just really didn't come to play too heavily in that one. And actually, credit where credit's due, I do think the Packers defense is actually sneaky good this year. Or maybe not even sneaky. I'm a little bit too generous with the Packers, I think, sometimes. They've got a fucking good team, Dave. Their team is savage on both sides of the ball, and Packers fans need to realise that. And I know that we've ranted about it before, but look at the players they've got. It's absolutely astonishing. They've got the MVP quarterback of last year. They've got two running backs, Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon, who could arguably start on almost any team. I'd take either of them, thank you very much. They've got the best receiver in the league, in my opinion, at the moment, in Devontae Adams. They've then got a committee of scrubs at other wide receivers and at tight end. But they've also got a stout offensive line. And then on defense, they've got a classic defense. Savage and Amos in the backfield. Their defensive line, pick your poison with defensive line. Preston Smith, Zadarius Smith when he's healthy, Rashawn Gary, Kenny Clark, unbelievable players. All of these that you would name would be better than any of the Seahawks players up front. The only player that would hold a candle to it would be obviously Bobby Wagner, who's better than all of them put together, but he's only one man. So, you know, the Packers need to be winning these games, and they need to be winning them more convincingly than 17-0, I think, as well. But I personally think the Packers could be going to an NFC Championship and potentially a Super Bowl at this point, just because of the caliber of other teams in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, they've got Bakhtiari as well. He's coming back, who's probably... You'd struggle to find a better left tackle in the game than Bakhtiari. Like, do you know what I mean? He's amazing. Once he comes back, if he's even 90% of what he was before, will be a top 3 left tackle in the league. Mm-hmm. I think Rodgers was coming off COVID, wasn't he, that week? So it's his first game back. But obviously, I mean, I was just looking then as you were talking about the Seahawks next week play the Cardinals. And then the week after that, they're at Washington. So if you're Geno Smith probably had a better chance of winning this game than what Russell Wilson did, considering he's probably not thrown a ball in 4 weeks. Mm-hmm. So why not just sit him out for this week and next week? Because you're not really in a position to play for the playoffs because the NFC's got so many good teams. So why not rest him for another 2 weeks, come back for Washington, win the last couple of games, get yourself... Do you know what I mean? Like a bit of kudos or whatever. I think rushing them back hasn't helped because Geno Smith might have hit some of them passes that were. I mean, he's nowhere near as good as Russell Wilson. But Russell Wilson, when he's not 100%, isn't Russell Wilson. Yeah, so you might as well play the backup till your quarterback's ready.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If you were first in division, yeah, fair fucks. Get him in there. You know what I mean? You're playing for the playoffs. Mm-hmm. At this point, you've got the same record as the Giants. You know, it's not... And we ain't going to the playoffs. Do you know what I mean? So, winning some... And I suppose losing some games is good because it will give you a better draft pick.
No, it won't.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we don't have one.
No.
Mistake. Right. So, yeah.
Well, you're giving the fucking Jets a better draft pick. So
exactly, yeah. Go on, Jets. We're going to only make their shit team even better.
Yeah.
So that was the Seahawks anyway. It was not an enjoyable game to watch. Being shut out is never fun. Packers rise to 8-2. Seahawks fall to 3-6. Still some to play for in the NFC, but it's looking like dark days are coming. And that is the end of On the Clock. And now we shoot into the new weekly segment. I mentioned it earlier. The episode is called The Home of the Brave. And we're looking for some brave predictions today, Dave. So in this segment, we're going to be giving 3 bold and brave predictions for the remainder of the year in the NFL. This can be on or off the field, Dave, but they need to be brave statements. So take that as you will. And I want to hear your first brave statement for Home of the Brave.
I'm just going to say this, that our brave predictions last week for the games were so wrong. Just
Really
having
bad.
a quick look at them now, yeah. I got the Packers 17-7, so I was close.
Close.
Okay, brave predictions for this week. Well, not for this week, for going forward, yeah?
Moving forward for the season. A statement that you want to hang your coat on.
Yeah. So I've got 1 for this season and then 2 for next season.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay.
Fine.
So I don't know if this is a brave statement, because I think it's, I don't know. I'm going to say that Tom Brady wins the Super Bowl again,
Right.
and retires.
Ooh, yeah, that's a brave statement. Definitely.
I don't think, him winning the Super Bowl, I don't think is that brave. But he was the last person to win it back to back in like 2003, 2004, I want to say, around that time with the Patriots.
Right.
But I do think that he's showing, I don't want to say he's regressing, because he's probably not. I think he's making a few more mistakes than what he would like to make.
Right.
But he looks, my thing is, he looks less bothered on the sideline when his team's losing.
Right.
And I don't know if that's because he don't really care about the regular season, he's thinking about the playoffs. But he just doesn't look, I don't know. I think if he wins the Super Bowl again,
He'll retire.
Yeah. With 8 rings or whatever he's got.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a good statement.
Rings.
That's a good statement. I think just the Super Bowl alone would have been an average statement, but to throw in the retirement is a brave statement, I think.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Do you want one of my brave statements, Dave?
Go on then.
Okay. My brave statement for this year is, this year, the Chiefs from Kansas City don't lose another game this season. They go into the playoffs 13-4, and they make the Super Bowl for a 3rd year straight. That's my brave prediction for you right there.
That's your brave prediction. Right, let me click on the Chiefs. Right. So the Chiefs are playing the Cowboys this week.
Yeah, I know it's a tough one. They've not got a fantastically easy schedule, but this is why it's brave. I'm saying that they win every game this year for the remainder of the year. They go in 13-4. They make the Super Bowl. I'm not saying they win it, because I think that there's a potential couple of NFC teams that may beat the Chiefs, but I'm saying that they're the best team in the AFC if they continue on this run and they make the Super Bowl. I feel like that's a brave statement, would you not?
It is. Oh, 100%. Because although the games, I would say, are all favourable apart from the Cowboys. They play the Broncos, the Raiders, the Chargers, the Steelers, the Bengals, the Broncos again. I feel like that's...
I did have a look, so I think it's doable.
But, yeah, I mean, it is brave, because how many teams have been to the Super Bowl 3 years in a row? Not many.
Not many. Bills, back in the day.
Cowboys. The Cowboys won it 3 years in a row. That's a brave prediction.
Cool. That's what I'm going with. What's your next one for next year?
This is my first one for next year. And This is brave. The Giants will win a playoff game next year.
Okay. All right. Season. Yeah. Giants make the playoffs. You don't think they'll win one this year?
The Giants are not going to make the playoffs this year.
No?
No. I don't think they can, because we're 3-6. And there's too many good teams in the NFC.
Okay.
I think at the minute, the Rams are a wild card team.
Wow. Okay. That might cause some complications for one of my next ones, but
Yeah.
fair play.
Yeah, so I think the Giants, I think become second in the NFC, considering how well I've seen the Cowboys play this year. They're not going to be losing anyone next year.
Yeah.
So I feel like the Giants will come second to the Cowboys, but we will then win a playoff game. We'll have a record that's good enough to get to the playoffs.
Okay. I think you're underselling it a little bit there. I think it'd be braver to say that the Giants maybe make the NFC Championship next year.
I think that's ridiculous.
Okay, maybe that's too brave. But okay, I'm taking that. I'll take that. That's a brave statement. The Giants win a playoff game next year, so I suppose it does mean they make the playoffs and they win one. So,
yeah.
So fair enough. Okay, cool. My next statement is for this year. Jonathan Taylor, the running back for the Indianapolis Colts, wins the rushing title this year and takes home the Offensive Player of the Year award, as well as carrying the Colts to a playoff position.
Okay.
What do you reckon to that? So Taylor wins the rushing league title, takes Offensive Player of the Year, and carries the Colts to the playoffs. It's a brave statement, right?
So I think he's going to win the rushing title. It's going to be between him and Nick Chubb, by the look of it. Nick Chubb's been out for some games as well, and he's not far behind him.
Mm.
The playoffs one.
I'm not saying they win. I'm just saying he takes the Colts to the playoffs.
I get you. And then
Offensive Player of the Year. I think that's the thing that makes it brave.
It is, because I think Cooper Kupp's I think he's going to take that.
Do you reckon?
I don't think there's a quarterback at the minute. Is he AFC?
But they don't. I don't think they do that, do they? It's literally just Offensive Player of the Year.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So I know he's up against like Cooper Kupp, Tom Brady potentially. Like he's up against some of the quarterbacks that might win offensive. But I think what I'm saying is I think the next few games, I think Taylor's going to actually do even better than what he's done so far. Is what I'm saying. I don't think right now he is, but I think that by the end of the season he'll have done so much that he'll have passed Cooper Kupp and passed somebody else, to get that recognition.
Okay. No, I think it's a brave one, because I think there's a few players who could win that, and arguably it would go to most of the time, like the MVP, a quarterback, as opposed to a running back. But I would say running back has more chance of winning it than a wide receiver. So we shall see.
Cool. And then your final brave statement of the night, Dave.
You're not going to like it.
No.
Russell Wilson on the move.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so I predict that Russell Wilson leaves the Seattle Seahawks after this season and heads to the New Orleans Saints, where I think that if they plugged him in at quarterback with returning Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, and their team, they would be disgustingly good. Mm-hmm. They need someone to steady the ship. They need someone who's not as accurate as Drew Brees, but somebody who's mobile, who can make the plays downfield like Jameis Winston can, but it's not going to put it in harm's way as much. A great offensive line that he can sit behind, and he's not going to have to be running for his life all the time. And I feel like he leaves the Seahawks because he wants to win another ring. And I don't think the Seahawks will be in a position to win a Super Bowl within the next 3 or 4 years.
Fair play. Fair play. I mean, it's obviously not something I'd like to see, but I can't argue against the fact that what Russell Wilson would do for the Saints would be ridiculous. They would be arguably the best team in football with him as quarterback, because they're good anyway. So that's a bold prediction, Dave. I think it's definitely a bold one because you're picking the team where he's going. Yeah, fair enough.
And I feel like if they offered you Jameis Winston and 2 first-round picks
and something else.
But he's in his last year, isn't he? So like his year after that would be his last year. So I think it'd be difficult to turn down 2 first-round picks if you haven't got any.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, you're right. It might take more than that.
Cool. Okay. My next one is also about the Seattle Seahawks, and it's also about somebody disappearing. So my final and brave prediction is that the Seahawks managed to make a wild card playoff berth this year. But irrespective of the fact, Pete Carroll is fired at the end of the year.
Okay.
That's my brave prediction. I think that we win. I think that we win out and maybe lose one more game and scrape a wild card, because the only other teams that we've got to beat right now are teams like the Panthers, maybe the Giants, maybe the Vikings, maybe the Saints, who are all maybes at the moment. Like, they still could definitely finish with more wins than we can, but also they could also not. So I'm predicting that we make the playoffs through wild card. Don't say we win it, but the most important thing is, irrespective of that, I feel like the Seahawks organisation needs to recognise that Pete's old school ways are not the future, and that if they want to keep hold of Russell Wilson, maybe they need to get rid of Pete to sort of unlock the next version of him. Because otherwise, like you said, if that's not the case, I see your pick coming to fruition, because I don't think Russ would want to keep playing under Pete Carroll, because I think he's constrained by the style of football that the Seahawks play. Yeah.
I wouldn't say that Pete getting sacked is brave, because I think it's time.
Yeah.
But I think getting the wild card, I think that's a brave thing. Just going off how you played last week. So
totally,
I don't know. And you've got to play the Cardinals next.
I know. I'm just trying to be optimistic.
You've got to be, haven't you? It's such a disgusting division that you're in, that it makes it like the Giants have got a realistic shot of getting second in our division.
Yeah, you do, yeah.
So if we win, I don't know, 5 of the next 5 or 6 games, that will take us to 9 and 8. That could get you in. But we've got to play the Eagles twice. We've got to play the Cowboys in a divisional game where we're obviously not going to be favourites to win, but it's a divisional game, so anything could happen. And we've got to play the Washington football team again, amongst some other teams. Like, we've got an easier schedule than what you guys have. So I think that's definitely a brave pick to say that you could get a wild card. But nothing's impossible, because the Cardinals have lost a couple. The Rams have lost the last 2.
Yeah.
The 49ers are in anyone's guess which Jimmy G's going to turn up. So,
yeah,
you never know.
We'll see. That's my predictions anyway. And that was Home of the Brave predictions. Done. Finished. And now we will just do our quick predictions for the Sky Sports games, and we are out of here. Podcast number 11 wrapped. So on Sunday, Dave, we have got the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Buffalo Bills. Please, can you give me the winner and your predicted score?
Bills win 28-10.
28-10. Okay. Yeah. I think the Bills also win, but I think it's going to be a tight one. I think the Bills win 21-20.
21-20. Sweet.
Next one. Dallas Cowboys are playing the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead in Kansas City. What's happening in this one?
I'm going to say that the Cowboys win. This is going to be a game like, so when the Chiefs played the Rams and it was like fucking 50 points to 48 points. This is going to be, I'm predicting this is going to be a game like that because
I hope so.
Both fireworks on offense. But I think I can see the Cowboys winning because I just think the Cowboys have been more consistent. I mean, that's a lie, innit? Because they've been more consistent over the season, but in the last 2 games, they've been pretty much shut out, weren't they? They had some garbage points against the Broncos, but I think that the Cowboys can do it on both phases of the offense, so they can run the ball with 2 great running backs, and they've got 3 good wide receivers. So I'm going to say that the Cowboys win a close shootout. I'm going to go big. I'm going to say 45-43.
Nice.
Big game.
Okay.
If
that is a big game.
If that happens, that'd be an amazing game.
Yeah, I'll be buzzing off that. I'm going to go on the opposite side. I'm going to say that the Chiefs win. But I do also think it's going to be a bit of a shootout. Maybe not quite as much, but I'm going to say that the Chiefs win 42 to the, I would say that, yeah, I reckon they win Chiefs 42, Cowboys 38.
I'm just going to take a cold shower to this for predicting the Cowboys win a game.
Yeah, wash it off. And then 2 more games. Pittsburgh Steelers are taking on the Los Angeles Chargers. At the Chargers at SoFi Stadium in LA. Was ist happening, ja?
Chargers win 21-14.
Nice. I'm going to say that the Chargers also win, and I think they win 24-10. And finally, the Monday night game.
Oh.
The big one.
Oh.
The extravaganza.
Oh.
The New York City Giants taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The GOAT playing his bogey team of the Giants. Maybe not.
Jones, his bogey team isn't the Bucs.
Eh?
It's the GOAT.
You thought I was talking about Daniel Jones. I'm talking about Tom Brady, man. The GOAT. Albeit, I think his actual kryptonite is probably Eli Manning rather than the Giants, but you just never know. So, what's your score prediction in this one, Dave? Are you putting your money where your mouth is behind the Giants? Are you taking the Bucs to school?
100% I'm picking the Giants. But the Giants are going to win this game, and they're going to win it 14.
Wow.
And I think the Bucs are going to score 6 points. Tom Brady's not even going to throw a touchdown.
No chance.
James Bradbury is going to have Mike Evans in his pocket like he has done his entire career when he used to bully him when he was at the Panthers.
Nice.
Bully him.
Saquon playing?
Saquon will be back.
Is he back? Okay.
Andrew Thomas, the left tackle, will be back.
All right, cool. Well, I would love to see the Giants win for your sake because it's a nice win, but I'm going to go in the more realistic realm of the Bucs.
Fool.
I'm going to say the Bucs win 23-16.
Okay.
And that's all she wrote. So, scores are in, locked in, podcast done, and we are out. So, for those who have been listening, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Please reach out to us, message us, DM us, Instagram us, whatever you want to do. We are happy to reach out. We're happy to talk. We want to know who's listening, where you're listening from. Yeah, we want to talk to our fans, don't we, Dave?
Yeah. If you think we pick on the Packers too much and you think Aaron Rodgers is a god, let us know. We're happy to have this debate and just a bit of banter. You know, these are only
shut you down.
Yeah, these are only our opinions. I mean, it is what it is. It's football, isn't it? It's all about rivalries. If you're a Cowboys fan and you despise the way I talk about the Cowboys, let me know. Drop into my inbox and tell me all about it. Slide into my DMs and tell me that Dak Prescott is the best thing since sliced bread. Okay?
We'd love to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. If you think the Giants are shit and the Seahawks are shit, let us know. Yeah,
you would be partially right.
Yeah, and I'll be happy to correct you.
But good stuff. Now we've had some great comments, great messages over the last few weeks. So appreciate the listeners out there. Always keep listening. In the End Zone UK.